The blinking cursor on my laptop screen mocked me. 46 years old, an IT specialist in Minneapolis, and my life felt like a corrupted file, unrecoverable. My wife Bronwyn had always been distant. Beautiful, yes, with her fiery red hair and piercing green eyes, but emotionally walled off. I loved her, desperately, foolishly perhaps. We'd been married for 20 years, a milestone that now felt like a tombstone marking the death of something precious. The first crack appeared subtly. Bronwyn, a real estate agent, started working late, attending networking events that stretched into the early hours. Her explanations were vague, her perfume different, a musky scent that wasn't hers. I dismissed it initially. Work was demanding, I reasoned. She deserved to unwind, but unease gnawed at me, a low hum of suspicion that grew louder with each passing day. Then came the phone. Bronwyn was in the shower one morning when her phone buzzed incessantly on the nightstand. I wouldn't normally peek, but the persistence was unnerving. The screen flashed a name, Kieran, below it a string of messages. "Can't wait to see you tonight," one read. "Thinking of you all day," said another, followed by a string of heart emojis. My blood turned to ice. Kieran? Who the hell was Kieran? The shower stopped. I panicked, quickly deleting the notification and placing the phone back exactly as I'd found it. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat of dread. I feigned normalcy, forcing a smile as she emerged from the bathroom, wrapped in a towel, her hair dripping. "Everything okay, Valerian?" she asked, her eyes scrutinizing me. "You seem tense." "Just a busy day at work," I lied, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. That day I was a ghost in my own life. I went through the motions at work, fixing computers and troubleshooting network issues, but my mind was a swirling vortex of doubt and fear. Who was Kieran? A colleague? A friend? Or something more, something unspeakable? I spent the evening in a haze of anxiety, waiting for Bronwyn to leave for her late showing. As soon as she was gone, I descended into a digital rabbit hole. I searched Kieran Minneapolis on social media, scrolling through countless profiles until I found him. Kieran O'Connell, mid-30s, handsome in a rugged, outdoorsy way, with a charming smile and a glint in his eyes that made my stomach churn. His profile picture showed him hiking in the mountains, a world away from my mundane existence. My breath hitched when I saw his connection to Bronwyn. They were friends on Facebook, their profiles littered with innocuous comments and likes. But something felt off, a subtle undercurrent of intimacy that only a betrayed spouse could detect. I needed proof. I couldn't confront Bronwyn based on suspicion alone. She was a master manipulator, capable of twisting the truth until it suited her narrative. I needed undeniable evidence. The next few days were a blur of clandestine activity. I installed a GPS tracker on Bronwyn's car, a move that felt both invasive and necessary. I set up a hidden camera in our living room, disguised as a bookshelf speaker. I felt like a character in a spy movie, except the stakes were far higher, the potential for heartbreak far greater. The GPS tracker confirmed my worst fears. Bronwyn's late showings often led to Kieran's apartment, a trendy loft in the warehouse district. The camera, however, revealed nothing. Bronwyn was careful, meticulously avoiding any compromising behavior within the confines of our home. Then came the night that shattered my world. I was working late, a rare occurrence, when I received a notification on my phone. Motion detected in the living room. I opened the app, my heart pounding in my chest. The camera feed flickered to life, revealing Bronwyn and Kieran, locked in a passionate embrace on our couch. I watched, paralyzed, as they kissed, their bodies entwined, their faces flushed with desire. The scene played out in agonizing detail, each touch, each whisper, a dagger twisting in my heart. My Bronwyn, the woman I had loved and cherished for 20 years, was betraying me in the most intimate way imaginable. Rage, raw and primal, surged through me, obliterating all reason. I wanted to burst through the door, to tear them apart, to inflict pain and suffering upon them both. But something held me back. A cold, calculating voice whispered in my ear, urging me to be patient, to plan my revenge. I closed the app, my hands trembling. I couldn't stay in the house, not for another minute. I grabbed my keys and stumbled out into the night, the image of Bronwyn and Kieran searing itself into my brain. I drove aimlessly for hours, the streets of Minneapolis blurring into a kaleidoscope of lights and shadows. I ended up at a dive bar on the outskirts of town, a place where I could drown my sorrows in cheap whiskey and anonymity. The bartender, a grizzled old man with weary eyes, listened patiently as I poured out my heart, my voice choked with emotion. He offered words of comfort, platitudes about moving on and finding someone new. But his words were hollow, meaningless in the face of my devastation. "Revenge is a dish best served cold," he said finally, his voice low and gravelly. "Don't let them see you coming. Make them pay for what they've done." His words resonated with me. I wouldn't let Bronwyn and Kieran get away with this. I would make them suffer, not physically, but emotionally, psychologically. I would dismantle their lives piece by piece until they were left with nothing but regret. The next morning I returned home, my face a mask of composure. Bronwyn was gone, presumably at work. Kieran, thankfully, was nowhere to be seen. I spent the day meticulously gathering evidence, downloading the video from the hidden camera, printing out incriminating messages and photos. I consulted with a lawyer, a sharp, no-nonsense woman named Esmeralda, who listened to my story with a mixture of sympathy and professional detachment. "We have a strong case for divorce," she said, after reviewing the evidence. "Adultery is a clear violation of your marriage contract. We can pursue a favorable settlement, including spousal support and a division of assets." I wasn't interested in money. I wanted justice. "I want her to suffer," I said, my voice cold and hard. "I want her to lose everything." Esmeralda nodded, her eyes gleaming with understanding. "We can explore several options," she said. "We can expose her affair to her employer, potentially jeopardizing her career. We can file a lawsuit against Kieran for alienation of affection. We can even leak the information to the media, if you're willing to go that far." I considered her suggestions, weighing the pros and cons. Exposing Bronwyn's affair would be satisfying, but it would also be messy and public. A lawsuit against Kieran would be costly and time-consuming. Leaking the information to the media would be the ultimate act of humiliation, but it would also expose me to scrutiny and judgment. I decided on a more subtle approach, a plan that would inflict maximum damage with minimal exposure. I would use Bronwyn's ambition against her, turning her own desires into weapons of self-destruction. I started by subtly undermining her confidence at work. I called her colleagues, pretending to be a prospective client, and made disparaging remarks about her professionalism and competence. I left anonymous reviews online, criticizing her sales tactics and customer service. Bronwyn, oblivious to my machinations, became increasingly stressed and insecure. Her sales numbers plummeted, her relationships with colleagues deteriorated, and her once bright demeanor faded into a shadow of its former self. Next, I targeted Kieran. I discovered that he was a freelance photographer, struggling to make ends meet. I contacted his clients, posing as a disgruntled customer, and complained about his work ethic and artistic abilities. I spread rumors about his unprofessional behavior and questionable business practices. Kieran's career quickly unraveled. He lost clients, his reputation tarnished, his dreams of success fading into the distance. He became increasingly desperate, his charming smile replaced by a look of anxiety and despair. As Bronwyn and Kieran's lives spiraled downward, I watched from the sidelines, a silent observer of their misery. I felt a sense of satisfaction, a cold, vengeful pleasure that I knew was wrong but couldn't resist. Then came the final act, the culmination of my carefully crafted plan. I arranged a meeting with Bronwyn at a neutral location, a quiet coffee shop in downtown Minneapolis. She arrived looking haggard and defeated, her eyes red-rimmed, her hair disheveled. "What do you want, Valerian?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "I want you to know why I am doing this," I said, my voice calm and controlled. "I want you to understand the consequences of your actions." I handed her a USB drive containing the video from the hidden camera, the incriminating messages, and the evidence of my sabotage. She watched the video, her face contorting with horror and shame. She read the messages, her eyes widening with disbelief. She listened to my explanation, her body trembling with fear. "How could you?" she sobbed, her voice cracking with emotion. "How could you do this to me? You did this to yourself, Bronwyn," I said, my voice devoid of pity. "You made your choices. Now you have to live with the consequences." I stood up and walked away, leaving her alone with her shame and regret. I didn't look back. I didn't feel any sense of triumph or closure, just a profound emptiness, a hollow ache in my soul. The divorce was swift and painless. Bronwyn didn't contest the settlement, agreeing to relinquish her claims to our assets. She lost her job, her friends, and her reputation. Kieran, equally ostracized, moved out of state, seeking a fresh start. I was left alone in our house, surrounded by the ghosts of our past. I sold the house, unable to bear the memories it held. I moved to a small apartment in a different part of the city, seeking solace in anonymity. I tried to move on to rebuild my life, but the scars of betrayal ran deep. I dated, but couldn't form any meaningful connections. The trust was gone, replaced by a cynical suspicion that poisoned every relationship. Years passed. I focused on my career, immersing myself in work, finding a sense of purpose in solving technical problems. I traveled, explored new places, and tried to fill the void in my heart with experiences and adventures. One day, I received an email from an unknown address. It was from Bronwyn. She was living in a small town in Montana, working as a waitress, struggling to make ends meet. She was alone, miserable, and filled with regret. She apologized for her actions, acknowledging the pain she had caused me. She admitted that she had made a terrible mistake, driven by selfishness and insecurity. She begged for my forgiveness. I stared at the email, my heart aching with a mixture of pity and contempt. I could forgive her, perhaps, but I could never forget. The damage was done, the trust irrevocably broken. I didn't reply to her email. I didn't offer her forgiveness. I simply deleted it and moved on with my life. The scars remained, a constant reminder of the betrayal I had endured. But I had survived. I had emerged from the darkness, scarred but not broken. I had learned a valuable lesson about the fragility of trust and the enduring power of resilience. My story isn't one of triumph or redemption. It's a story of survival, a testament to the human capacity to endure even the most devastating of betrayals. It's a story of a man who lost everything, but found the strength to rebuild his life, one painful step at a time.